Hey guys, I'm back again with another YouTube video. This time I'm going to show you how I like to make my gum paste roses. I've taken a few tips and tricks from a bunch of different videos out there and I found what works for me. I think that is one of the most important things. There's very few wrong ways to make a flower. I mean, they're so different and they're so unique. I mean, there's really no wrong way. If it works for you, it works for you. So I'm going to start off by showing you a couple of things I use, a couple of tips, and I'm going to start with a rosebud and then a more open rose to a fuller open rose for a wedding cake I have this weekend. So I've already pre-made some buds, some a little more open, just so I'm making a nice quick video. First and foremost, though, I want to talk about a very important tool that should be in your cake arsenal, especially when you're dealing with brides. There are countless colors out there, and we've all run into the people where, you've had like 5 different brides, and they've all asked for the same color of dusty pink. But it's been different for every single one. My best tip to combat that is go to your local hardware store and pick up free, yes, that's why it's the best, free paint swatches. Bring these on your consultation. And you can actually pull out, have them separated. I went through them with my bride this weekend. She told me plum. So I brought them, the closest things I've had, and I had her show me what colors exactly were the dresses. So keep them grouped together. I got to rearrange my cards, but this is going to be the best thing to make your life easy. There's no guessing. Everybody's computer screens are different, so they're going to send you a picture and it's going to look perfect on theirs, but it's going to be slightly off on yours. So bring these with you. They're going to become your best friend. And, if you don't want to be like me and go and grab one of each card right away, hardware stores are another great place to find things that you need for your cake stuff. Like your boards and everything else. So while you're in there, grab a few, or grab a little $5 sample paint if you feel really bad about it, and do that. Me, I just went in there and I grabbed one of each card and said, there we go, I'm good to go, one shot, done. Okay, so let's get started in the roses. I've already pre-made all my flower buds and everything, my centers. Now what I like to do, I used to make them out of gum paste. I use 100% gum paste with my flowers. I like how they harden fairly quickly so I can get through my flowers. If you don't feel so confident about how quick you have to move, then, you can do your 50-50 mix, whatever works for you. But what I actually found with the gum paste, especially with certain flowers, and I'm not a fan of the styrofoam centers, that's once again just personally one of my choices, is I went to Michael's and I grabbed this. It's non-toxic. I mean, the flowers aren't going to be eaten. It's no different than using a styrofoam ball. It air dries. It's so super light when it's done. Now, it does take a few days to dry, so you need to make sure you plan ahead and make these well in advance. And a thing, too, is that they retain a little bit of a squish to them. So don't expect them to get super hard, but they're going to be light as a feather. And when you're dealing with certain flowers, like, say, the English rose, that's got a pretty heavy base to it when everything's all said and done. So you want a nice light material to build off of. So this is another one of the things I absolutely love to do. You can go and grab it with a 40-50% off Michael's coupons. The pack I grabbed is in a big tub, and it comes with 4 of these, and you need so little of it that this is going to last you forever. Alright, so now my gum paste came out really wet for some reason, so I'm going to be using a lot more cornstarch than I usually use, and I've already pre-colored the gum paste for these roses. Now, like I said, this is pretty much the color of her maid of honor dress. And we talked about it, she said, you know, plums and purples, so I matched that one to the specific card I had. Alright, where's my rolling pin? I apologize if you start getting shaky. I don't have my good tripod yet. And you're attached to my table right now. Oh. Now when I make my flower petals, I don't make my gum paste all that thin because I'm very heavy-handed when it comes to things. So I squish them quite a bit, or with the insides of my roses, I don't like to thin out my petals too much. I want to have them have a little bit of rigidity to actually hold a pretty good shape, and I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so alright, that'll be good for the buds I have here. And I have a whole set, and I think there's 10 you can get in this set. I love it. They're perfect. They come in so many different sizes from, I do believe I have a smaller one than this one. That's, they call it a 5 centimeter one. And the largest I have, if I can get this thing off the table, is that guy. And he is my 10 centimeter one. They're fantastic. I absolutely love them. So I'm starting out with my smallest one. I'll take it. And I always separate all my petals. Some people like to do them all at once. I like to be able to move my splices together fine. My phone decided to tell me all of a sudden right in the middle of that video I had no more room. So, here we go for a second try. Let's see if we can get farther through on this one. Okay, so I'm going to start, like I said, with these rosebuds, my pad, with my ball tool, wipe it off, flip it down. This is the side we cut into. I flip it down so it's the bottom. Like I said, I want to leave these ones a little thicker. It's just the way I like to do them. So, be careful. And like I said, my gum paste is very, very wet. For some reason, I've used this gum paste over and over and over again. And this is the first time I've had this much trouble with it. My plan is, when I get some free time, whenever that happens, I want to try the Nicholas Lodge recipe for gum paste. Okay, so you get your gum glue. Paint a good amount of that petal up. Grab your center. Now normally a lot of people like to wrap that first one right around. I don't like to use one. I like to use 2 petals for my initial twist right in the center of the flower. I got the second one going here. Should I get you a little more on camera here? No, I never worry about cleaning up those edges all too much, because if you look at a real flower, you're going to notice it's going to be torn, it's going to be a little jagged. So it just, I find it gives it a little more realistic look to the flower. Okay. Now, Take that second one. Gotta try to remember to get this all on camera for you guys. Get it in there. Tuck those edges in and roll. And then I'll go around and I'll start tightening up that bud around itself. A little bit of a twist. Don't be afraid to push on that gum paste. And take your much smaller end, kind of give them a little push in there. Give those edges a little bit of push. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be completely circular. Just move them around till you get them right where you like them. And then stick them in your foam to dry. And you can see this one I got done there. I did this one, started it last night. I don't know how well you can see inside the center there. Just get them and twist them. Now I do the first row with the 2, and then I do 3 on the very inside. Keep it tight together. Do another 3 on the outside. You can start opening up a little bit more. You'll see it just opens up just right through these petals a little more. Same size as I initially started with the cutter, the 5 cm cutter. And then for this next row, I do 3 again. Open it up. This is when you're going to start to want to curl. I find curling the petals down a little bit, just a little more as you go with each petal, starts opening up that flower there for you. I'm going to show you the next step after that is doing 5 petals. At least that's how I do it. Now, most people at this point in time like to kind of layer their petals in and out, lapsing one on top of the other. I prefer to do mine individually. I find I have a lot more control when I'm doing it like that. And I don't start veining my flowers until I get to the outer ring of petals. I do a little bit of a V on the first initial ones. I paint kind of almost all of the petal. Find in between a set of petals. Get her pushed on there. And this is why I like doing them like one at a time and not overlapping. People don't really notice all that much about it, but it allows me to pinch, get that curl, and this is when I really start opening up that flower, getting that little pinch where I want it on that, pinch up here to close it up so I got room to keep going. And it gives it a really nice look to that petal. I'll do the next one again on that one. These ones I start thinning out a little bit more than I did with my centers because I want them flexible. I want to be able to manipulate them how a natural petal will be. Paint that petal. I apologize if I go silent on you guys at one point in time. I tend to get hyper-focused when I'm making my flowers. So now start halfway in between that other one. Just roll it in. That way you can pinch. Pinch and pull down. And take your time to manipulate it until you get it exactly how you want it to look. Now, gum paste dries lighter than it is when it's wet. So if you're noticing the two different colors there, what I'll do is afterwards, I go in and I brush it, give it a little bit of depth with some petal dust or luster dust or whatever, depending on what I'm using. And then I'll steam to set the color. Just hold it over an open boiling pot of water, not too close, just to let a little bit of steam out there. And kind of set that color in there, give it a little bit of a nice shine. Get a little bit of that cornstarch on there, especially right now with it being so wet. And I don't hold my petal down. For me personally, I just kind of like to let the petal just kind of naturally go with the ball tool. I don't like to force it into one specific place. Now with your 5 petal section here, I know 9 times out of 10 you usually shove one petal into the next one and you keep the flap open like I did with the beginning. And doing it that way kind of gives you that overlapping one over the next one. This way does that too, except for the very last one. Like I said, most people aren't going to be looking for that one specific petal that's slightly off from the rest. And that was petal number 3. Now it's not very often I will get to 7 petals on a flower. They have to be some pretty gigantic roses to get that many. I usually work with 3s and 5s. It's just, like I said, personal preference. There's almost no wrong way to do a flower. Watch as many YouTube videos, tutorials as you possibly can. Ask around your Facebook groups. Find what works for you. Don't be intimidated. I think my most favorite part of cake decorating is making the flowers. It gives you so much creativity. It's unreal. There was a peacock cake I did for a wedding. And instead of feathers going down, the bride had seen a picture of roses going down the peacock. And she loved it, so we went with that. If you're the original creator of that cake design, she loved it. We loved it. And instead of just doing your basic one color, traditional color roses, we did them in the peacock colors. So the inside was dark green, went to a lighter green, then went to a blue on the outside, and it looked absolutely amazing. Now, with the gum paste, if you're using a 50-50 mix, you're not going to have to worry about it drying out too fast. If you do notice it is start to drying out, take a little bit of cornstarch, or not cornstarch, sorry, Crisco shortening, whatever brand you have there, rub the edges a little bit just to kind of keep them a little bit softer, a little bit easier to rub with that ball tool. And if you notice it's sticking, a little bit of cornstarch, and roll that petal. See, it gets that, when you don't hold on to the petal, it gets that nice, gorgeous little cup shape right away to it. Flatten that out. Get your glue. Now, there's petal 1, petal 2, petal 3, and petal 4. So it's going to go right in between here. Like I said, this is where, you know, the one kind of overlaps both your first and your fourth petal, and when you're tucking them in, like most people do, you don't get that, but it's no big deal. You can put it on the back. And what I do down here, when I want to cut my petals, is just push, pinch, roll it up like that. Get that petal to come down. You tuck it up underneath there. That's the petal I just did. No big deal. Like I said, it looks perfectly fine. Okay. So after I do my initial middle, starting with a 5 gives you a little bit more of an open flower. If you want to stop there, you stop there. Some of them, I have a bunch of flowers going on a 6-inch tier, so I'm not going to be doing too many, couple rosebuds, couple smaller. I'm going to do a couple really open flowers. So I'm going to do another round on this one. This is when I'm going to start veining my flowers, because you're going to notice more of a curve. You're going to have a little bit more detail to your petals. There's the veiner I used for all my, a good chunk of my flowers. This is my go-to veiner for most things. I do have a drawer full of other ones that I do use for other flowers, but this I find is my most versatile veiner. It's got a little bit of ruffling on the top. It's got just light grooves to give it that soft petal look. And it's 2 pieces that fit really nice together. Alright, so this one I'm going up one size. And I go up in my petal size instead of adding more petals to my roses. That's why I usually only work in the 3s and 5s in the petal numbers. I don't like dealing with too many little petals everywhere. And that way when you're making a bunch of flowers, you don't have a ton everywhere. You can get through it a little quicker. I think my problem is I'm going to have to set my dehumidifier on. Gum paste is such a finicky thing to work with. If any of you guys have worked with the Nicholas Lodge recipe after working with any store-bought brand, let me know how that works. His flowers come out absolutely gorgeous, and I've just been dying to try it, and I keep going back to what I know, and I need to get out of that. I need to go and get out of my comfort zone and work on things, and you never know what you're gonna like until you try them out. And like I said before, I always like working with individual petals. There's not many times I like working with a full 5-petal set. It might be easier for some people. For me, it's just not. It's maneuvering all the petals together while they're sitting there in your hand. I'm really clumsy when it comes to that kind of stuff, so I love the single petal approach for me. See, now I'm here all worried that I have a carnation tutorial, because I'm doing carnations as well with the roses, and I'm worried I'm not going to have enough room on my card to get both of them done. You get your veiner. A little bit more cornstarch. And like I said, you brush it away after once the flour's dry. Or steaming them works. It gives that flour that nice, really nice little look to it. Another thing that should be your best friend is a nice, clean, never used puff makeup brush, whatever. I am not a girly girl. Whatever they call this kind of brush. Best friend. I absolutely love it. And you can pick them up at the dollar store. They're so cheap. I have one for different colors, so I'm not having to worry about color transfer. I got my one for just specifically brushing off cornstarch or anything like that. So, you see the nice ruffles you get right away with that veiner. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe I got it off AliExpress. Super cheap. Shipping takes forever. It's the only downside I find with them. I mean, there's times where I've waited, I want to say almost 3-4 months to get something, which is not beneficial unless you're buying ahead of time in the cake world. And I'm constantly trying to tell my husband, that's what you gotta do, and we just gotta deal with it. And I love when I get the chance to actually use something I bought ahead of time so I can be like, see, there you go. I'm using it. Curl. I'm just curling those petals in. I pinched almost the center. I don't always like doing the center. Change it up every once in a while. Pinch. You can pinch there too to kind of open up. Pinch on the sides to open up the petal there. Curl it down. Get it to where you want. And go on to your next one. Another thing I'm hoping to do soon too is we just got a new 3D printer in. Hubby just set it up and we've got a couple really good prints. Of course he's playing with it and printing out everything he wants to do first, but it's a much bigger bed than our last one and I use it mostly for printing out cookie cutters on my own. Because when you can find one for a really good deal, it pays for itself really, really quickly. So this new one prints beautifully. And I think I'm going to try my luck at printing a couple cake combs for buttercream cake soon. And different lettering. I need some more cutters for lettering. You can only use the same letters so many times before you start getting sick and tired of them. Alright. Start from the bottom, work your way up, pinch those flowers in. Then pull. See, now with that veiner, you pull the bud down, it automatically goes into a nice little point there. I'm really hoping to get my better camera up and working because I know some of this time that it can get a little blurry with my phone. It's not the best of phones, but it works. I'm known for dropping them, so I don't get the best out there just for that fact. I can't tell you how many times I've dropped my phone screen down and just stood there for like 5 minutes not wanting to pick it up because I'm afraid of what I'm going to find when I finally do. That's why I can't have nice things. I'm forever dropping things, and my kids If there's anything my kids get from me, it's that. So it makes me very, very nervous. Oh, and there goes one of my little ones. I think this may become a 3-part or 3-spliced video. Alright, little one is settled all over again, so I get back to this. So we are on petal number 4 for the larger size petals. And there's the last petal on that next row. Right there. So what I do is I got it all stuck down. And if I want to bring that petal out a bit, start at the 2 sides and pinch in. And it's going to cup right there on the petal a little bit. Open it up on the inside. And then allow you to curl it down. And get it a little bit more open. Like I said, keep playing with it until you get it exactly how you want it. So because this isn't going to be a big cake, I'm only doing 1 or 2 big ones like this, a couple medium sized and a couple rosebuds. So what I'll do is, once this dries, I'll finish up and I'll put my calyx on, paint whatever on the bottom that's still showing in green with my green petal dust. I might do a little bit inside on the underneath the petals, just to kind of give it a little bit more dimension. We'll see how it looks when it dries. That's a more open one right there. You see, just adding that next bigger size, how much bigger it is from this one. I said when you get them all around together, they're going to look so nice together. Now, when finishing up the rosebuds here, what I'll do is I'll do another row of 3, but I'll do them in the next size up that I had, which is the 6cm cutter, which is what I used on the larger rows that we just did. And I'll do the 3 down at the bottom just to cover up a little bit here, because with the rosebuds you want to keep them fairly tight together, but you want to be able to cover all of this. So I'll do 1 in the 6cm cutter, do 3 more like that, and then I will put my calyx on to cover the bottom and go from there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully I have enough space in my phone because I'm doing carnations as well with this, and I'd like to really show you how I do those. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you have any other tips, maybe, or anything like that, please feel free to share. And I'll see you next time. Bye.